It's difficult to narrow down everything that's happening in the industry into one tech trend. And you know, depending on how many people you ask, you will get that many different opinions on the matter. But I think what we can definitely agree on is that the way we look at vehicles in general is changing. Right? It is no longer just an object to go from point A to point B. Um, but if it's not just that, then what is it? So different people look at it differently. In my opinion, right, and the view that I subscribe to is that a software defined vehicle is the largest mobile device in the world. So if we can accept that as a reality, or at least the perception of a vehicle in the future, then I think we can start to talk about what are the trends that will shape that and make that a reality going forward. So just to give you a simple illustration, right? So we say that a capable smartphone today costs anywhere between 20 to 30,000 rupees, but a car, maybe a mid-segment car, costs 100 times more, but should be at least as capable as a smartphone. So I think that is the sort of technology trend that I see in the near future, where a car or a vehicle more closely resembles a large mobile device rather than just an object that takes you from point A to point B. As the entire automobile or the vehicle is transforming into the largest mobile device in the world, the cockpit, which is an integral part of the car, has to also evolve and keep pace with that. So when we at Harman think about the in-cabin experience, we are thinking about how to enable consumer experiences at an automotive grade. And so I think that's really what is shaping our thoughts, and in that I think the way that at least in the near future, in the next 3 to 5 years, this industry will go, it will revolve in large part around hyper connectivity, hyper personalization, very intelligent systems where the car is smart, part of an Internet of Things scheme, as well as how we consume content, much more on demand way of consuming content, whether that's information or entertainment. Harman is definitely on a transformational path. From sort of the role of a traditional tier one to be more sort of product oriented, and helping customers and OEMs realize their ultimate goals of making the in-car experience as pleasant as possible. So a lot of what we're doing, for example, in the area of personalization, is really creating experiences that are catered and customized for both the drivers as well as the passengers. How does a user stay connected with the rest of the digital world while driving? So easier and different ways of interacting with the system, whether it's voice or gestures, as well as this concept of shared mobility, where you have your own preferences, and how do you take your preferences from one car to another if you don't own a car, for example? How do we create experiences not just for the driver but for every single person sitting in the car, whether it's a passenger or in the rear seat, right? How do we create specialized audio zones where they can listen to whatever they want through the music system within the car? How can they bring their own devices, so on and so forth? Then we have the concept of intelligence, where we're bringing AI ML technologies into the car to make the car driving experience much more personal, right? So it isn't just about, again, like I said, not just about going from point A to point B, but how do we make that entire experience as pleasant as possible? How do we understand the driver and help them making decisions much faster, which both will be saving time, but also will make the experience much better. And last but not least is in the way we consume content. So today we have a whole host of options when we are at home or in the office. Information is at our fingertips. There is no shortage of content that's available for us to use. How do we make that also possible within the car? How do we make the experience dynamic? Today, if you buy a car, the experience stays the same till you buy a new car. But how do we change that? How do we upgrade that? Whether that is through software or whether that's through hardware upgrades. And so really looking at all of these things and having solutions that fit into any one of numerous brackets that I just spoke about. So we're working on all of these things to make the overall experience better. And hopefully we are not far from now where when we talk about a vehicle, instead of talking about kilometers per liter, we're more talking about experiences per liter, right? So that's sort of the shift in narrative that Harman is trying to push. I think it's amazing. I'm so happy to be here. I'm so happy to actually meet people in person rather than on WebEx and or rather on video calls and things like that. So I do love the social aspects of it, the ability to meet with other people within the industry, share their thoughts. I do think a lot of the sessions are extremely informative. I think the speakers that have been invited are extremely knowledgeable industry leaders. Certainly, I have gained by spending 2 days over here and hearing from them and learning from them. And I really hope that we will have more such events going forward. And my gratitude to ETAuto for taking this initiative.